Dave Farnbaugh from Sweeney Law Firm joins us to discuss traumatic brain injury. Some folks call it a not-so-silent epidemic. In fact, I think that's the term you used when you told me what we were talking about here today. What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, the statistics, Dirk, I think it's gotten a lot more publicity now with all this NFL concussion discussion. So it's become a lot more widespread, the information about how prevalent traumatic brain injury, but I was doing a little research in preparation for the show today, and there are some staggering statistics. About 1.4 million people are hospitalized every year in the United States with traumatic brain injury, 52,000 deaths, and they are estimating, based on 2000 statistics, year 2000, that there was 60 billion in lost productivity to the economy resulting from traumatic brain injury. So if you adjusted that to nowadays, it'd probably be double that.
Wow.
So it is, it's a serious public health problem. And like I said, we're learning a lot more about traumatic brain injury. The NFL is funding a lot of serious research on traumatic brain injury, so we know a lot more than we used to.
So it's different than or worse than a concussion? Are they even not the same thing?
Well, I mean, it used to be sort of the conventional thought was that if one had a concussion, that, you know, it was one of those things that you just kind of shake off and there wasn't any, you know, residual problems from a concussion. But we know now that that isn't the case. A concussion is actually a mild traumatic brain injury. And mild traumatic brain injuries can have, in certain circumstances, lifelong ramifications for people that suffer a mild traumatic brain injury.
So if somebody, I'm assuming, you know, most of us don't play football, and these things probably happen with a fall or with an auto accident or something of that sort, do they take a while to present themselves? Or, you know, if you were counseling me afterwards, you know, I guess what would be the advice there?
The problem, Dirk, with mild traumatic brain injuries or concussions is so often they're not really diagnosed. You know, somebody will be cut loose from a hospital emergency room and, you know, they'll be asked to follow up with their family physician or some other doctor. And what we find in our practice is oftentimes people will have telltale signs of a traumatic brain injury, but they don't receive the proper workup. We see that frequently. So that's sort of the message from lawyers who handle this kind of case. If you start noticing, you know, the telltale signs, memory deficits, difficulty concentrating, those are sort of some of the classic signs. You start noticing that your child or your loved one has some of those types of changes. You really do need to get them in and have them evaluated by somebody that knows something about brain injury.
Are there lawyers that specialize in brain injury cases?
There are. I mean, there are lawyers that, you know, they handle nothing but traumatic brain injury cases. And there's lawyers that, you know, make that a big part of their practice. I've handled many, many traumatic brain injuries over the course of my career, and they present special challenges because they are so, like I said, that they're not picked up often. So often you'll have to seek out special doctors to evaluate those. Oftentimes they're not detected by conventional imaging like MRIs and CT scans. You know, we use a test called neuropsych testing to detect those injuries. So they can be very challenging for lawyers to handle. So that's, you know, consumers have to recognize that just going to some sort of a run-of-the-mill doctor or a lawyer that handles, you know, personal injury cases or...
I'm gonna have to cut you off right there, but it is one of those things that you need to make sure you find somebody who can specialize in a traumatic brain injury. That would be Sweeney Law Firm. Find out more on their webpage or give them a call at 420-3137. We will be right back here on Insight.
Good deal.